Combining the best of daily fantasy and survivor pools, Stat Hero is the next chapter in fantasy sports. No more competing with the sharks or experts ever, because your only competition is Stat Hero itself. The face of DFS has changed. Finally, a game designed for the rest of us.
Hey, what's up? Jeff Ratcliffe here. It's Week 10 Fantasy Football, so let's dive into an advanced look at the matchups at wide receiver, the wide receiver cornerback matchups here. For Week 10, we got 2 upgrades and 2 downgrades for you. So let's dive into those upgrades right at the top. And as if he really needs one, Michael Thomas does get an upgrade this week. Hey, this guy has been phenomenal this season. Even without Drew Brees, he got it done with Teddy Bridgewater under center, and he's on pace for 146 receptions. He could pad those numbers this week against Atlanta. The Atlanta secondary has gotten beat up for most of the season, and over the last 5 weeks, they are the number 2 fantasy matchup for the position, giving up a league-high 230 receiving yards per game to opposing wide receiver cores. Michael Thomas with Drew Brees back under center. I mean, he's a lock for a top 5, and he certainly is in contention for the top receiver of the week. So you're using him across the board in season-long DFS, regardless of the fantasy contest you're in. He's in your lineups. Let's give you a deeper one, because, hey, all right, that was a gimme putt with Michael Thomas. I get it. How about Zach Pascal? This is certainly a deeper play, but with T.Y. Hilton banged up, Pascal has had an opportunity in 2 of the last 3 weeks. He's put up some really good fantasy numbers. On top of that, he gets to face Miami this week. And hey, with Xavier Howard on injured reserve, this team is really just cobbling together a secondary. We saw even against the Jets last week, their corners gave up 22 catches on 29 targets. That's an enormous number right there, and it was the Jets. So Zach Pascal, a sneaky play. You like him for DFS. You want to find a way to get him into your lineups in season-long leagues. All right, let's do the downgrades, and I feel like every stinking week I'm talking about Odell Beckham Jr. with a downgrade, but here we are yet again, another downgrade. Buffalo, they've struggled a little bit against the run recently, but they continue to do well against the pass. Baker Mayfield has a tough matchup, and Odell Beckham Jr., it looks like he will be shadowed on the perimeter by Tre'Davious White. We haven't seen the Bills use White as a shadow really at all this season until last week. He did shadow Terry McLaurin on the perimeter, does a nice job, of course, allowing just a 59% catch rate, and no touchdowns have been scored in Tre'Davious White's coverage this season. So yet again, we're left with Odell Beckham Jr. in wide receiver 2 territory. Our other downgrade goes to Tyler Lockett, and we have to be a little bit careful with this one. So Tyler Lockett in season-long leagues, yes, you are starting him no matter what. After last week especially, but even in this tough matchup, you're going to start him. DK Metcalf, on the other hand, sure, I could see sitting him in season long this week. He had a great game last week. But this matchup, let's not discount the San Francisco secondary. They have 4 corners grading out in the top 20 at Pro Football Focus. That is amazing right there. Top 20 corners, 4 of them. Unbelievable. So it shouldn't be a surprise that over the last 5 games, they're giving up just 92 receiving yards per game to opposing wide receivers. So that is essentially the exact opposite of what we're seeing from Atlanta heading into this week. So we're downgrading Tyler Lockett. Like I said, in season long, yes, you're going to start him. If he doesn't have the best game, you know why. But at this point, I don't think we can really fade him at all in season long. If you are in Monday DFS contests, though, you may want to look to other options other than Tyler Lockett and certainly other than DK Metcalf. And I should mention, Josh Gordon is going to be very likely on the field. This is not the week to start him. Not only the bad matchup, but we really don't know exactly how he's going to be used yet. So let's give it a minute here. Let it breathe. He's certainly a guy to have on your benches for right now, but let's see how Seattle uses him, and then we'll reassess and go from there. Hey, you want to dive into these wide receiver matchups? I know you do. We have all that information in our wide receiver cornerback matchup chart at PFF. It's such a great resource. You can see those individual matchups, both for your season-long and DFS contests. Get some insight there, along with all kinds of great information, football stats galore, rankings and projections for fantasy football, and some of the best DFS information you can find on the internet. You can get all that over at PFF.com.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel, and if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget, everything you get A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.